In the previous episode, I built a full stainless steel wood stove pool heater, and while it might oddly resemble a certain infamous submarine, this one hasn't imploded yet. In fact, it actually managed to heat up the pool, but trust me, it's far from perfect. More on that later in the video. Ugh. So today I want to increase its efficiency by sucking up even more heat coming up from here. Cause the chimney can reach temps ranging from 3 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And if some of you are about to jump in the comments like, I've got mine close to 1,000, well, good for you, sir. But let's back up a bit and remember that this heater is already pulling heat out from the exhaust gases with a clever chicane built in it. You see, hot gases are bending over this deflector and water from the upper portion is extracting heat from the exhaust, thus reducing the chimney temp. So close to 500 is the best we're gonna get. And when you think about it, this is wasted free energy. Better reclaim back some of that heat. Right, here's the plan. I'm gonna add a 1/2-inch water outlet to pull some of that heated water and boost it even more through a coil inside the chimney. But one major downside is that creosote will build up on the coil over time and reduce its efficiency. And yes, I did think about putting the coil outside, because that will definitely be a better long-term frequent use solution. But with the downside of having most of that heat passing by the outside coil. And because I'll only be using this heater just a few times a year during summer, I went with the coil inside for the gain in heat transfer minus the cleaning of creosote buildup every year or so. And yes, since I have a few of those laying around in the shop, I thought about using a car radiator. You make a square box to enclose the rat in, got your water inlet and outlet, and it's done easy peasy. But because how little gap is between all these little fins, creosote will build up quickly and it will clog the chimney in just a few uses. So the radiator idea was out of the equation. Okay, let's take a small break from the heater because I need to fix something on my airbag trailer for racing season. You see, I'm inflating the airbags using this 110 air compressor, which is powered by this inverter, and the angry pixies are coming from this battery. I mean, from now this dead battery. So time to swap it out with this brand new Power Queen Deep Cycle 12 volt 100 amp hour mini battery. It's their new, even more compact model with reduced footprint by 25%, but still packing 23% more power. The plan is to have a head-to-head match with the best battery in my fleet, the one from the Massey. Yeah, it's a heavy one compared to the Power Queen, which is only 19 pounds. Yeah, that's twice the weight. And to be fair and square, using a load tester, we can see that the battery is filled up to the brim. So I'll run as many air compressor cycles as the battery can power. Yes, it's a match to death. I mean, not really. Afterwards, I'm gonna recharge it. I kinda need my tractor, you know? And the inverter is indicating
12.5, that's nice.
And let's start the first run. Right, 140 psi has been reached. Then I cycle the trailer a few times and bleed the leftover air using the gun. Then I repeat the cycle a second time, but on the third attempt.
Moments later.
Yep, it's already dead. I mean, not bad for a standard battery.
It's dead.
Now it's Power Queen's turn.
Here we go. Alright, first time, still 13. It was 13.3.
Now for cycle number 2. Then I prep for the third run. Then the fourth. 4 was done. Up next, cycle number 5. But eventually my inverter got pretty hot, so I stopped there. Proof that the Power Queen 12 volt 100 amp hour mini can run twice as many cycles and still have juice left.
And it's still good. Wow, I'm impressed.
But maybe you don't have a fancy airbag trailer. Not yet. That's fine, because the battery is perfect for travel trailers too. It will power up lights, fans, even keep the cooler cold between campgrounds. We went on a 2-week family road trip where the battery performed flawlessly, providing power for basic needs while traveling, and most importantly, powering the emergency brakes in case of a breakaway situation. Again, thanks to Power Queen for sponsoring this video. Check out the link down below and use my promo code VinyB to get an additional 5% off. Now, back to the heater. Right, I'm pretty convinced I'm going with the right device to extract more heat, but I want to see if the boost pump can supply enough water flow, so that I can add an outlet on the heater to feed the copper coil into the chimney. Because here's the thing, I did a bunch of research on the web, and by research I mean I asked ChatGPT. But no, seriously, at this stage, I'm pretty convinced that the pump won't have enough oomph to supply enough water to the coil. I don't want to create a steam engine here. Since it's just a test, I'll use the pressure relief valve port to validate how much flow I can get. Because how low my hopes are, I'm using an existing outlet for the test. But if it works, I'll be machining an outlet plate to replace that capping one. But if the test fails, I'll have to add an external pump with its own electricity and pickup outlet from the pool, meaning a bit more work ahead of me. And maybe, but just maybe, I might already ordered it on Amazon? You see how much faith I have in this test. Well, I guess we're about to find out. Alright, here I'm simulating the minimum height the water will need to travel through the chimney, trying to recreate the most realistic scenario possible. And it's more difficult than it looks. Come on, Viny. Now I'm redirecting the water to the heater, and you'll understand that sometimes I'm a man of few words.
Wow! Yes! Ha!
And after just a few seconds...
It's full! Yes!
Wow, it's gonna work! No need for additional pump. That's good news! Just need to cancel this order. Okay, here I rearrange my setup to show you just how much water I'm getting while keeping the minimum height. It's just like a garden hose.
Look at that!
So let's take a measurement on how many gallons per minute it's pushing. And with roughly 30 seconds for a 5-gallon bucket, it's safe to say that it is around 9 to 10 gallons per minute.
Wow!
Nice.
Well, I get to it. Well, I guess now I need to machine the flange. Et c'est parti! Perfect. There's nothing to see here. Everything's under control. Thank you.
And with the outlet flange thingy done, let's start working on the coil, which might sound like a simple task, but it's not. And here's the first problem. You see, these days, new houses are rarely built with copper piping. PEX has taken over. It's cheap, flexible, easy to install, and readily available at hardware stores. That's why finding flexible half-inch copper pipe was a real challenge. I needed a 30-foot roll, but couldn't find one anywhere. So I ended up buying a 20-foot and a 15-foot roll from 2 different stores. And here's the second challenge. How to bend the copper into a tight roll. I'm talking 4 to 5 inches here. You cannot bend the pipe as it is, because it will kink. You could fill it up with sand, but making sure there's no air pockets in a 20-foot roll is close to impossible. Instead, I choose ice, and using this contraption, I'll fill up the roll with water. And to ensure I won't get any air pockets, I perform that little dance. Then, with the wife gone for the day, I put the coil in the freezer, making sure both ends are full of water and pointing upwards. Not having your wife at home is a very crucial bit of this process. For how many hours can ice cream stay melted and still be okay to eat?
The next morning.
That's what I like to see. Ice pushed out from both ends and nowhere else. If ice appears elsewhere, it could mean that the piping is cracked. As a rolling guide, I have this 2.5-inch roller. It's the biggest and longest tube I have in the shop. And one slam to my wonderful welding table. By the way, I sell plans of these things. Link below. Then I wedge one end in a picture hole and pull out my big guns to start the rolling action. And big guns you will need if you're planning on doing something similar. The ice definitely added a layer of stiffness to that copper pipe. And with the proper set of gloves, I mean the thicker the better, that thing is pretty cold to the touch. And with not a bit of stamina left in my body, I managed to get it done. But that was only the 15-footer. Final step is to carefully space out each loop.
I like it. It ain't perfect, but I'm gonna take it.
So 15 feet of pipe with around an half inch of spacing gave me about a foot of coil with roughly 4 inches in diameter. And the ice is melting surprisingly fast, so you need to be quick. The next day I did pretty much the same process with the 20-foot roll, but didn't end up getting the same results.
Oh, no! Oh, fuck you!
While I was saying grown-up words, I also realized that the ice melted away from the pipe, as you can see. And the last couple of rows are smashed into an oval shape. But that's why I bought 5 extra feet in case something goes south and I need to scrap a portion of the coil.
Damn it.
Then I spaced out the coil to see if I have enough to install in a 3-foot long chimney section.
Nice! We're too long. Great.
And by too long, I mean that I'll have enough length to cut the deformed section and still end up with about 3 feet of coil. And this is the smash end section, really not what I was aiming for. Again, with copper, heat will transfer stupidly fast to the ice and melt it away in just a few minutes. Now comes challenge number 3, connecting both coils together. Option 1, I could... As I was saying, I could solder them together, but because how hot it's gonna get in the chimney, I'm a bit worried that the soldering won't last long. Or I could weld them, more specifically, braze them together using my TIG and a silicone bronze filler, which I don't have. So I went with this, a compression coupler. Inside, you'll find a compression ring that, you guessed it, compresses and locks both hands firmly together. Viny, no, that's not that kind of ring. After cutting the unwanted kink ends on both coils, I cleaned up the cut to make the compression ring fit.
Please, please. Oh, yeah. Snug fit. Let's go.
Baby coil was not a problem. A bit of machining to make the nut fit, and that was a done deal.
Hey, that's all he needed.
Well, daddy coil was a different story. Even after removing the smashed section, the pipe still had a bad oval shape. No problem, or so I thought. I machined a mandrel to force the copper into its original shape.
It's better looking, right?
Ladies and mostly gentlemen, you have to understand that the seal of a compression coupler depends on how tight the fit between the ring and the piping is. And I think it's gonna work, but it's pretty much crooked. Maybe I could force it into a straighter line?
No!
And because the compression ring is a one-time use, I bought 2 of those. Last chance, Viny. Still with the forcing, Viny? You sure, man? That should be enough.
No!
Told you.
Yeah, I broke it. It's loose now.
2 hours later.
Guys, I worked on this thing like a madman, trying to have a good rigid connection, but in vain. And like a message from the plumbing god, I found this 45 degrees fitting that will perfectly join the 2 coils. And understand that it's been 2 decades since I last used this type of fitting, and I no longer have any in stock. Guys, that's a sign. And I know what I said just minutes ago about the heat in the chimney and the soldering, but I have a plan to verify it. By the way, do you know what kind of offering the plumbing god accepts? Visa, MasterCard, a goat sacrifice? I mean, I'm fine with MasterCard, but the goat is just too messy. Speaking of animals, this late evening, I was not completely alone in the shop. And you'll understand that I'm far from becoming the new Gotham Skate Crusader with the not-so-manly screams I'm about to let out.
Can I open the door? Come on, little guy. It's open.
Right. Back to the coil, where I need to convince myself that soldering will withstand the extreme heat in the chimney. So the plan is to run a light stream of water through the piping and blast that joint with flames. If the soldering can hold that direct heat with a bit of water, once installed in the chimney with 10 gallons per minute passing through it.
This thing's gotta be solid.
Right, coil check. Now for the final assembly, where I need to choose between a regular 6-inch chimney and a 7-inch. And using a scrap section to give me a visual idea. And because I don't want to choke the exhaust flow, I'll go with the 7-inch. Challenge number 12, I guess. How to keep the coil suspended in the middle of that pipe. After a few measurements, I think I came up with a clever solution. By the way, as you saw in my last episode, this homemade CNC plasma machine is the most reliable piece of equipment I made, and oh no, maybe that.
Si, ouais, pourquoi ça marche pas?
Ah, better. And because the coil is just like a spring with an uneven bottom loop, I made an uneven support. Right, just before rolling a short montage, here I'm gonna perform a little reverse psychology test. Don't subscribe to my channel. Don't do it. No. Thank you.
So,
The top part receives a similar but symmetrical support just to keep it centered in the pipe. And with that, it looks rigid enough for what I need it for, and with a minimum of obstruction for the exhaust gases. Then I reused the existing elbow, where creosote already started to form, just after a few uses. Final challenge up ahead, insulating the chimney with ceramic fiber to reduce heat loss. The issue here is that I've heard some nasty stuff about ceramic fiber. In short, don't inhale this, it could be very bad for your health. So I need to seal up this insulation fabric, and for that, I'm going to use a good old galvanized ducting pipe. The only problem, they don't sell one big enough, but I figure using 2 of them should be enough to cover the roughly 9 inches insulated chimney. And I just need to join them together. That shouldn't be that hard, right?
Twenty minutes later.
And I did it! Sort of. Right, at the moment it's not round, but with the chimney inside of it, it should be just fine. With a pattern I designed in SolidWorks, I made myself a template to cut the pipe at 45 degrees. Otherwise, good luck cutting this oval shape at a sharp 45.
yeah. Haha.
And with a sharp utility knife, proper PPE and some galvanized wire, I managed to create a beautiful little blanket for that beautiful little chimney. Then comes the ducting pipe, which was impossible to close. I should have taken bigger pipes and overlapped them with pop rivets. Let's welder shop. Finishing up with a magnificent aluminum tape to cover up my ugly welds. That's wonderbar. Okay guys, I know right now it looks like crap, but trust the process, cause from 100 yards, this thing will look like $1,000,000. And armed with high-temp caulking, I seal the deal. Ah, finally, it's installation day. And it doesn't fit. It won't go all the way because of this flange port. But as you know, we're always just a grinder away from success. I just need to bring it back in the shop to cut it.
A little later.
Ah, fits like Pop and Mom. Perfect. I finished installing the rest of the chimney. Then it was time to install the flange outlet thingy I made. Which I forgot the gasket didn't have a hole.
Yeah, that's not the prettiest hole I ever made, but it's big enough.
On this one, the hot water coming out of the coil will directly go into the pool, because I want to reduce the heat loss as much as possible. Speaking of which, a lot of you recommended in the comments to insulate the heater's return piping. The only thing I can tell you, speak and you shall receive. And on this beautiful but chill morning, the moment we all been waiting for, how much more efficient this heater got with the coil addition. And while I'm starting the fire and letting it build up some heat, let's talk about the heater's flaws. The first and the one that surprised me the most is the formation of a thick tar inside the firebox. It's due to the drastic difference in temperature between the water-cooled side and the fire-heated one. That creates moisture and mixed with corrosive and unburned matter that will form that tar we're seeing, and unfortunately, it reduces the heater efficiency. The only way to avoid that situation is to have the water running in the heater at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. But as you know, pools rarely go above 100 degrees. I mean, this ain't no hot tub here, meaning that as it is, tar is unavoidable. Second problem on this heater is, that one is 100% my fault, rust. Luckily, it's only located on the outlet, which is the last part I welded on this heater. You see, I bought these brushes, and as a noob, I thought they were made out of brass. But no, they're only coated with it. So as the coating wore out, the steel began contaminating the stainless steel, and now I've got rust. And you got to agree with me that even a used brush still looks like it's made out of brass. Since then, I bought stainless steel and composite brushes to fix this contamination problem. But be aware on what you're purchasing when working with stainless steel. Back on the fire, where it managed to get a high enough temperature. By the way, the 1-inch insulation cuts about half the heat from the chimney.
Oh, wow.
I thought it would be cold to the touch, but yeah, it's far from it. And being the first time I use this product, that might be normal, let me know. So the pool is at 76 and the coil, rum roll please, 90, 91.
Wow.
Plus 15 degrees? This is Viny from the future, and I've used the heater 2 more times since the first test, and I saw a 15-degree rise when the fire was blazing, and only 7 degrees once it died down. And since I know that on average, the heater alone, without the coil, was raising the water temperature by 3 degrees, we can almost calculate the increase in efficiency. I only need to verify the actual pump's flow rate.
Nice sucks, bro. Go! Okay. Have fun.
And after 2 more tests,
Okay. Wait. Go. Okay.
on average is 50 gallons per minute. Right, quickly we'll do some basic math to set the increase in efficiency. And to do so, I made up a unit, which is increased degrees per gallon per minute, or IDP GPM. It doesn't really mean anything, it's just to get a comparison before and after the use of the coil. So the pump is running at 50 gallon per minute, and it was giving us a bump of 3 degrees, making this 150 IDP GPM. Now, because I know the coil is receiving roughly 10 gallon per minute, it means that the heater is only sending back 40 gallon per minute to the pool, making it 120 IDP GPM. But that other 10 gallon per minute is getting on average an increase of 11 degrees by the coil, thus making this an additional 110 IDP GPM. Adding those two together, we get a grand total of 230 IDP GPM. If we deduce the original 150 that the heater by itself was making from the combined 230, we get an increase of 80 IDP GPM. That's the increase in efficiency. To get a percentage, we put it over the original 150, giving us 0.53 or 53%. So just above 50% in increased efficiency. Not bad for some wasted energy. To give you another perspective to understand that increase, let's say on average, the heater was capable of rising the pool during one day by 10 degrees. But now with the coil, for the same amount of time and wood, it will be 15. That's pretty nice. I still have one last thing to fix on this heater, and it's the firebox slow burning temperature. To do so, I'll be using this, but that's for the next episode. Alright, I'm Viny. Thanks for watching till the end, and again, don't subscribe, and see you soon. Or, sure, you can subscribe.